The one thing that I love the most about buying any product is I do research very thoroughly. I watch tons of videos on YouTube or Google search in-depth reviews about the item that I'm planning to purchase. That part is the most I enjoy about or love about. Then I compare the items with other similar items and review both the good, bad and the ugly side of those products. And finally, I add the items to the cart along with the items that I am going to need and hit the place your order button. That part is all fun until your money is gone from your account in a flash. Alright, today after almost a year or so, I traded my A7 Mark III, which is undoubtedly the highest selling digital camera in the world, for an upgrade and brought its bigger brother, which is A7 IV. I researched for months, looked, compared and analyzed the camera that would be in my budget, and I don't have to be broke as well. And the options were very limited. The Sony A7III is the cheapest one, around $1,200 or $1,300 right now in the market excluding the kit lens, and the second one comes at $1,600, which is Sony FX30, the smaller brother of the cinema line camera of Sony FX3, which is a ridiculous amount of compact and feature-packed cameras in the market right now. But the one thing that did not let me buy the camera is because of its low light performance. If we reduce that top handle, the price drops to $400, which is right now $1,599 or something like that. I mean, ridiculous as in price point, but it is a video centric camera. Of course it can take pictures, but only a single shot stills because it does not have a mechanical shutter. As I am a hybrid shooter, I prefer both, including video as well as photo. So there were only three options for me, one being Sony A7 IV, another being Sony A7C Mark II, and the final one being A6700, and I ended up choosing A7 IV because of some gigantic yet limited reasons. So today I will be unboxing this camera and show you why this is still the best hybrid camera you can purchase even after 2 years of its initial release. I took this camera out in this winter snowy weather out here, as it is snowing heavily in Massachusetts. The weather was worse with winds and snow all around, but I am glad that this camera has defeated the weather because it was sturdy and weatherproof. There is no signs of damage and everything looks fine. If it was, then I would be ruined because of the new camera that I purchased and it would be damaged. Damn, I can't even imagine. So let's get started. A7 IV is the fourth generation of the company's core A7 full-frame mirrorless camera model. It is the most advanced version yet, incorporating many of the improvements Sony has made in autofocus and user interface design since the launch of the A7 III in February 2018. The A7 IV has a recommended price of $24.99, which is $500 more than the launch price of the A7 III. Some of the specifications that explain why this camera still competes with A7S III or A7 CR is that it has a 33 megapixel BSI CMOS full-frame sensor. It can shoot up to 10 frames per second in lossy raw format with an extensive buffer. It has in-body stabilization rated up to 5.5 exposure value. It captures full width oversample 4K video from 7K up to 30 frames per second. It also offers 4K at 60p but in Super 35 or APS-C mode, resulting in a 1.5 time crop. This means that if you have a 24mm lens, it becomes equivalent to 36mm in 60p. Well, I'm not good in maths, but I guess it is 36. It supports 10-bit video or HEIF stills capture. It supports a H.265 video and has S-Cineton color mode. It has a 3.69 million dot OLED viewfinder and have a full-time Bluetooth LE connection, which comes with twin SD card slot, one being CF Express A, or you can use it as a UHS Type 2 and another only being UHS Type 2 SD card. The A7 IV sees just about every one of its specifications improved over the A7 III, from the basics such as the resolution of the sensor and viewfinder to significantly increased video capture options. Despite the higher resolution, the A7 IV can shoot at 10 frames per second. However, shooting in RAW format reduces the burst rate to around 6 frames per second and decreases dynamic range. The camera's buffer depth allows over 800 RAW plus JPEG images or over 1000 JPEGs, but this is in the uncompressed RAW format, which shoots at around 6 frames per second. The rolling shutter rate of the sensor are not particularly fast and great. Silent shutter mode is likely to result in significant distortion with moving subject. Full width 4K video takes around 24.4 milliseconds, which is comparable with other models in its class. 60p footage has a rolling shutter rate of around 12.8 milliseconds, which avoids distortion with most movements. The autofocus improvements in the A7 IV are significant. Unlike the A7 III, and the A7 IV integrates eye autofocus into its main autofocus system and have a more advanced autofocus tracking system. It can seamlessly switch between eye, face and body tracking when focusing on a person. The A7 IV also introduces animal detection capabilities, including birds, dogs and cats, in both photo and video modes. Even with subject it has not been trained to recognize, the camera uses pattern detection, subject color and brightness to stay focused on the selected subject. This simplified system is highly effective in day or night time. Just indicate your focus point and the camera will use its powerful autofocus algorithms to maximize accuracy. If you have used a similar system in recent Canon cameras, you will appreciate the power, reliability and the simplicity of this system. After autofocus, the biggest area of improvement is in terms of video capability. The A7 III was first A7 model to offer 4K capture, which is highly appreciated till now. Its implementation was pretty good for early 2018 with oversampled 24p capture from the full width of its sensor, but a cropping required for 30 frames per second. All footage was captured in 8-bit precision at relatively modest bit rates. The A7 IV moves things forward considerably, adding 10-bit capture to increase the processing flexibility of log footage and to allow full hybrid log gamma capture for playback on SDR TVs. It also gains the ability to shoot 4K at 60p for action capture or slow motion work, but this requires a crop to APS-C sensor or Super 35 dimensions. This footage comes from a 4.6K region. There are also options to use H.265 compression and apply the S-Cineton color profile. Eye autofocus and the improved tracking system are now available in both video mode, which should substantially increase the degree to which you can depend on autofocus to stay on your chosen subject. As in stills shooting mode, the camera has been trained to recognize humans, birds and animals. A menu option lets you decide which settings carry over from stills or video and which maintain independent values. You can choose from aperture, shutter speed, ISO, exposure compensation, metering mode, white balance, picture profile and focus mode. It is well worth setting this up when you first start shooting with the camera, so you can just flip the stills video switch when you want to jump between shooting styles. The A7 IV also offers the ability to live stream video over its USB connection using the audio and video standards that are part of the USB standard. This allows a choice of SD or full HD resolution, with full HD available at up to 60 frames per second. There is also a 4K option, but this only supports 15 frames per second, which gives a dreadful stop motion looking to the footage. Connection is designed to be simple as possible, using the image imaging app, webcam software, or Mac or PC. A connection via smartphone is also possible, though audio may not be available at resolutions above HD 720p. The A7 IV captures 10-bit compressed images instead of 8-bit JPEGs. Unlike Canon, which only uses HEIF capture for SDR images, Sony allows you to shoot standard DR images in 10-bit with a choice of 422 or 420 chroma subsampling. However, you need to enable HEIF capture before using the hybrid log gamma HLG color gamma mode instead of having both settings automatically matched. It is worth trying though, as images shot in HLG can display a wider dynamic range when viewed on an SDR capable TV, providing a more realistic version of your image. Movie mode gets its own switch rather than being part of the exposure mode dial is something to appreciate, and I really love this function, which was lacking in A7 III. A menu option in the setup menu lets you choose which settings are carried over and which are maintained separately for stills and video, which is another upgrade. The A7 IV introduces a breathing compensation mode that crops and resizes the video to eliminate any change in a lens angle of view during focusing. This mode is compatible only with selected Sony lenses, all the G Master lenses, and some G series glasses, because the camera requires a profile of the breathing characteristics. The video is cropped to match and preserve the narrowest angle of view that may occur when focusing from minimum focus distance to infinity. This ensures that there is no distracting change in the framing when refocusing. The shoulder dial controls exposure compensation by default, but it is now unmarked and can be set to control other functions. The A7 IV appears to share its body with the A7S III, which offers a series of refinements over the previous A7 model. The grip is slightly deeper, the joystick on the back is improved, and there is a full-size Type A HDMI socket on the side of the camera. These are really handy features that you will be appreciating about this camera. A notable improvement over the A7S III is the move to an unmarked lockable dial on the shoulder of the camera. This means it can be repurposed if you don't need to adjust exposure compensation. There is also a fully articulating rear screen, which is the main reason why I bought this camera or sold my A7 III and traded with this camera, because this is so functional and appreciable and lovable about when you are a one-man band and when you try to do something by yourself, and when you are doing this kind of videos, you need to look at the frame and you need to be focused. You need to have everything ready, and looking at that flip screen is really appreciated, and I really love this feature because I cannot just go around over there and look at if I'm in the frame or not, or record the button and stand here and then stop and then go over there if I'm on the frame and again adjust my position here. This is really hectic and I didn't like it. So the main reason why I bought this camera is because of its flip screen. A lot of people might say that you could literally buy a screen and then you could adjust your focus and everything from that screen. I know, but the other features were coming from this camera and which was lacking on the A7 III were also the reason why I bought this camera as well. Not only the flip screen, but it was the major reason. Both of the A7 slots except SD cards, with top slot also accommodating CF Express Type A cards. The use of CF Express cards is only required for the slow motion video mode. Everything else can be returned to V90 SD cards. More than the ergonomic changes from the A7 III, I am delighted to see the A7 IV gain the improved menus and expanded touchscreen utilization, first seen in the A7S III back then. The menu now have the section tabs of the left hand side of the screen, making it quick and easy to jump between tabs. They are also touch sensitive, reducing the need for physical button unlike A7 III. This layout makes the navigating the menus much quicker, aided by subsection headings within each tab. While the arrangement differs from previous Sony cameras, the underlying relationship between settings remain the same, so existing Sony users should be able to adapt to the new system relatively quickly. Sony has offered Bluetooth on its cameras for many years, primarily Sony has offered Bluetooth on its cameras for many years, primarily for transferring location data from smartphones. The A7 IV adds a constant connection option similar to what most of its its rival offer. This means you only need to pair the camera with your smartphone once, and then you will automatically re-establish a Bluetooth low energy connection, making it faster and simpler to transfer images to your phone. The A7 IV gains ability to close its mechanical shutter when turning the camera off, helping to prevent dust buildup on the sensor. This feature is primarily for prevention rather than physical protection, but it is a welcome addition that can make consumers happy like me and keep their cameras in good condition. So whenever you close that camera, automatically the shutter will be closed and you will be able to swap the lenses, and it is really welcomed and handy features for shooter that usually shoots outside. The A7 IV uses the same NP-FG100 battery as the A7 III and other recent Sony cameras. It provides a significant battery life, allowing the A7 IV to achieve a CIPA battery life rating to 580 shots per charge when using the rear screen and 520 shots per charge when using the electronic viewfinder. Much has changed in the 8 years since the original A7 was launched. Sony is no longer alone in offering a modern full-frame mirrorless camera, and the technology has made huge leap forward, particularly in autofocus. Sony's move to larger batteries has greatly improved usability, and each iteration has brought significant improvements to ergonomics and user interface. Video features have also expanded, with the fourth A7 model catching up with its competitors. If Sony decides to continue offering the A7 III at a lower price, the waters become even more complex. While the A7 III's autofocus is noticeably older than the new cameras, it still performs well in most aspects that the A7 IV does, which could undermine the series' attempt to move up market. Sony emphasizes the A7 IV has gained many improvements from the flagship A1, which may imply a closer connection than actually exists. Although the new camera does share some features with A1, it does not have the stacked CMOS sensor that provides the A1's powerful performance. In many instances, it is fairer to point out that the A7 IV features are shared with the video-centric A7S III. Nonetheless, it is still a positive claim to make, but it sets more realistic expectation in terms of star quality, rubbing off on the more mass-market model. Overall, the A7 IV appears to be a very capable camera with enhanced video capabilities and sophisticated autofocus. For newcomers like me, the increased price competition from other brands and the high standards set by the A7 III mean it will have to excel to stand out like its predecessors. I am looking forward to shooting with this camera and expect to use it for next 3 to 4 years, unless the A7 Mark V comes very soon with next generation features like A7 III that surpasses this camera. With that, I would like to conclude this video. If you enjoy it, I would greatly appreciate it if you like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I will certainly see you in the next video. Namaste, goodbye.